Good Morning Liberty.
Well, what is up, all of our liberty-loving friends? This is another fantastic episode of Good Morning Liberty. My name is expert Nate Thurston, and across from me is Mr. Charles. Are you also an expert? But you've been there. Charles has been there, Thompson. Mm-hmm. And so it's good. Bright, beautiful.
I'm an expert at many things.
Yeah, you actually are. You actually are. Yeah. We just don't talk about those things.
Truthfully,
happy Wednesday to everyone. It's a nice, beautiful, sunny Wednesday here in Nashville, Tennessee. And this is Good Morning Liberty, where we talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of meaning every single day of the week we want to. And that's it. Hello to...
Have you read the book, the 10,000 Hours book? Something about like if you do something 10,000 hours. Have we been...
Ironically, I read a condensed version of that book.
I feel like we've been podcasting for about 10,000 hours each.
Yeah, got to be.
So now we're expert podcasters.
Of course we are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Of course we are.
Feels good.
Thank you.
Gotta tell you, it feels good.
Thank you guys for hanging out. Make sure you follow us on X. We got over 2,000 new followers here in the last few days once that deceptively edited video started making its rounds. And so we got a lot of new followers, hopefully some new listeners as well. We've got some newer members of the Fed Haters Club. Welcome to people, esteemed members like Nipple Clamps. And you can make your name whatever you want. So I'm not going to,
Just depends whether or not we'll read it on air.
You can make your name whatever you want. We're going to say it on air. So thank you for being here. Fed Haters, that's joingmail.com. If you want to get a God Hates Fed shirt, that's godhatesfeds.com. Okay. This is a day where we're going to try to have a nuanced conversation without making all of the MAGA Trump people super mad. It's been a fine line that we've tried to tightrope.
I don't care either way. I'm going to tell the truth.
No, I mean, so the reason I say that is I want people to listen. I don't mean listen to the podcast so we have better numbers and make more money on ads. I mean, I want people to not get upset and turn off the show and not listen to the actual arguments that we need to make, because that's really easy to do.
Because you're starting this entire conversation with all due respect.
With all due respect. And then for those Trump people, we'll also start.
Calm down. He said with all due respect, calm down.
And we said calm down.
Yes.
You should calm down, okay? That's only going to work on the ladies, as we know.
Yeah.
We both voted for Trump, and I think that Trump is much better than Kamala would have been or Biden would have been. What other disclaimers can I throw out there for the Trump people
today?
Better
than Bernie Sanders or AOC, who's now leading in the polls.
Guess AOC is going to run for president, which means
we saw that coming.
Which means we're going to have another Republican president. I don't know what these people think is going to happen. Like she's going to run and she's actually going to win. Although that's dangerous for me to make that kind of prediction for an election, as we found out in the previous election. All right, so President of El Salvador came and met. I know that we're like a day late on this, but we didn't do a show yesterday. But I just think it's important for us to mention. President of El Salvador came and met with Trump in the Oval Office. The media was there, all this stuff going on. And as you guys probably know, there's this guy, I believe his name is Kmar Abrego Garcia. And that's what people have been very worried about recently, is a guy who got deported to El Salvador. More specifically, he got deported to a terrorism confinement center in El Salvador. And
if you look on Google Images, it's just blood.
It's not good.
Everywhere.
I mean, the place looks like it's pretty rough, And neither one, I'm not an open borders libertarian or anything. I think it's just fine to send people back to their country. In fact, I would settle. I think we came up with a pretty good plan. You just need to respawn these people back to the point that they entered. And it's fair. It's fair game at that point.
Have you been to the crossing points?
I haven't been there. I'm sure they're much worse than what I know, but I'm just saying
you haven't even been to the crossing points? You haven't been to the border?
Wherever the person came across, you just need to take them back to that. Your responsibility ends at the point that you take that person back to wherever it is they crossed into your country. Yep. Like that's really all you need to do.
See, this is one thing Nate and I semi-disagree on. I think you can have borders, especially in this type of
I didn't say that
political climate.
Say we can't have borders.
I'm more of an open borders type of libertarian, but things have to be correct for you to have open borders. And of course, that's not the case. So I think you have to put in some protective measures like I do in my house.
So the borders will continue until liberty improves.
Yes.
Is what you're saying.
Yes. But I think by default, it's pretty difficult. I think for me, from a moral standpoint, because I view all humans as like the image of God. And so you're telling me this little 8-year-old Mexican or, Venezuelan kid, they cross the border and look at you with their little puppy dog eyes that they can't have access to your dirt, because you staked a claim on it or something. I just don't morally agree with that. Yeah. But also you have to protect people from violent criminals and things like that. So it's nuanced.
And unfortunately, right now, we live in a system where you can come here and then get my money against my will.
Yeah.
And
stay in a nice hotel.
We've got enough parasites in America already.
You can vote.
I don't need more, Get
a social security number.
Yeah. And so that whole thing is an issue. So there's an order that this guy couldn't be sent back to El Salvador. They sent him to El Salvador. Not only did they send him there, they sent him directly to a prison. And there was a court order from a district court saying that he needed to be brought back by the 7th of April. That didn't happen. The Supreme Court then weighed in. The guy's still not been brought back, and they're looks like really not going to try to bring him back. The idea there was that he was an MS-13 gang member, and that's why he ended up getting wrapped up. The evidence as far as him being an MS-13 gang member is scant. I'll just say that. It comes down to like a confidential informant and the fact that he was wearing a Chicago Bulls hat. And they're like, yeah, okay, well, he's MS-13. Okay, that's pretty low evidence as far as someone's gang affiliation. The fact that he'd also been here for 14 years. I'm not saying he needs to stay here. That's not what I'm saying. But sending people directly to a prison, I do have an issue with that. That's not even the whole point of what we're about to talk about. I'm super annoyed about some of the comments that were made in this press conference, and I think some of them are very dangerous. One of them is this idea that they just can't figure out how to get him back. On one hand, the president of El Salvador is saying, like, what do you want me to do? You want me to smuggle him back into America? There's no way I can send him back to America. And then our president or our people in our administration are saying, like, what do you want us to do? Invade El Salvador and go get this guy? And so they're sitting right next to each other, and they're both just like, there's just no way for us to do this. It's just not possible.
We don't know how planes work.
And so I'm going to play some of these clips from this press conference. My general thesis here is going to be, I would respect them way more if they would just say, screw you guys. I don't want to do it, and so I'm not going to do it. Make the Supreme Court enforce this. It's this acting like people are dumb enough to think that these two guys sitting right next to each other can't shake hands and decide to send this guy back, and the whole situation would be resolved right there.
And they got a model on the desk of a tool
a plane like
you could use.
It's a way they could do it right there. Here's the Bukele talking.
Wait, hang on. Information from the Fed Haters Club. It appears maybe he's a CIA agent.
Oh, okay.
So we could run with that story.
Yeah, we could do that.
Speculate. The podcast would blow up even bigger.
Just speculate wildly about things.
Obviously, this smells like Mossad. I can smell it.
I do think that we could blame this on Israel.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. All right, here's this video.
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm supposed to have suggested that I smuggle terrorists into the United States, right?
It's always
how can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
So you could release him inside El Salvador?
Yeah, but I'm not releasing, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. We just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? No, that's not going to happen.
They'd love to have a criminal, released into our
country. There's a fascination.
They would love it.
All right, and so that's the That's the main argument there from the president of El Salvador. By the way, I think calling this guy a terrorist is a bit of a stretch. Just so you know, I mean, he was here.
I didn't know Rico Suave was the president of El Salvador.
Seen this guy? Yeah, he's got it going on.
What's his name? Bukaki?
Bukele.
Oh, Bukele
is his name. Yeah.
Ah.
Very close. Very close. So he's like, what do you want me to do? Smuggle this guy into the United States? And meanwhile, the Supreme Court.
Well, how did they get him down there?
They took him on a plane. Yeah. And so, yes, that is the obvious thing. That's why this is probably going to be in Dumb Bleep of the Week.
Yeah.
Like, just be honest about it. Just say, screw you guys. I'm not going to send the guy back.
I don't want to.
All this president has to say is, I'm not going to do it. There's no way I'm going to send this guy back. It's just not going to happen. But instead, he's like, what do you, how am I supposed to do? Would we smuggle him in across the border? There's just no way. No, you could talk to Trump. He's right there next to you. The Supreme Court said, actually, that they needed to facilitate this guy's return to the United States, meaning if you release him from the prison, then it is then on the United States to give him a ride back home. It's literally as simple as that. I'm going to go through.
Now, of course, they're saying he's a terrorist. He might be. We don't really know. But see, this is the important thing of due process. Like, we don't know. Now, this guy, we know for sure is not documented.
We know that.
We know that. So he doesn't necessarily have a citizen's right, but it doesn't, like, your Bill of Rights doesn't come from the government. You have to remember that.
They did say that
because just imagine, and we talked about this back when Obama signed the stupidest law, I think, back in 2010 or 2012, where they can designate anyone a terrorist. Remember, wasn't that long ago we had a bunch of right-wing domestic terrorist organizations.
Yeah.
And so could you imagine if they designate you a terrorist? And it's like, look, Trump may be doing this for good. Maybe.
Yeah, he might actually.
But what happens if AOC gets in there and then all of you J6 protesters or family members of J6 protesters or anybody who supported J6 protesters are now domestic terrorists and they need to be sent to Gitmo?
Well, it's not as if they're floating the idea of American citizens also getting sent to El Salvador, you know. They are. We're going to play that clip here in a minute. Yeah, that's exactly the point that we'll be making here soon. I think in this clip we have Marco Rubio chiming in, and what he's saying here is correct. But we're going to look at the Supreme Court order here in a second after we play a clip from Marco Rubio and a clip from Stephen Miller.
These are sick people. Marco, do you have something to say about
Yeah, I mean, Stephen outlined it. I don't understand what the confusion is. This individual is a citizen of El Salvador. He was illegally in the United States and was returned to his country. That's where you deport people, back to their country of origin, except for Venezuela that wasn't refusing to take people back, or places like that. I can tell you this, Mr. President. No, the foreign policy of the United States is conducted by the President of the United States, not by a court. And no court in the United States has a right to conduct the foreign policy of the United States. It's that simple. End of story.
And that's what the Supreme Court held, by the way. To Marco's point, the Supreme Court said exactly what Marco said, that no court has the authority to compel the foreign policy function of the United States. We won a case 9-0, and people like CNN are portraying it as a loss, as usual, because they want foreign terrorists in the country who kidnap women and children. But President Trump, his policy is foreign terrorists that are here illegally get expelled from the country, which, by the way, is a 90-10 issue.
So it becomes a foreign policy dealing now, because we're dealing with terrorists, and then we also would have to deal with this foreign government to try and get this guy back.
Why does CNN want a terrorist in America?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
I feel like that's such a bad argument.
It is. I mean, they're doing their thing. You know, they're just doing their thing.
CNN wants. It's like the terrorists want to kill us because of our freedom.
Now, someone on the left would say, no, CNN just cares about the civil rights of all individuals and human beings, and they just want to see justice be done in this scenario, and they feel terrible for the guy that's in El Salvador. That's also not the answer. CNN cares about making Trump look bad. Yes. They don't want terrorists in the United States. They want to publish stories that make Trump look bad.
Yes.
Okay, so there's no principle involved in the matter other than that. Just playing politics.
I think Marco had a solid answer there. It's like, look, he was He's not a citizen of the United States. He's a citizen of El Salvador.
But
we just sent him back to his country.
There was an order that he could not be deported back to El Salvador. Now, agree or disagree with that. That is the system that we have right now. People abuse this asylum system. Like we know that. You just come here and you claim asylum and you say that you're in fear for your life if you get sent back to your home country. Then you can end up getting an order saying that you can't be sent back to your home country. And then after that, like, where are you supposed to get sent back to? You're essentially locking yourself into the United States. We're like, where are we going to deport you to after that? Even if you're here illegally and we haven't granted you citizenship, where are you going to go? We've said that we can't send you back to your home country. So clearly people abuse that asylum system. There are times that people could come here and claim actual asylum, but I guarantee you it's something like 1%, 0.5%. It's like 1/10 of the percent of the amount of people who claim asylum and come here, which actually deserve to get that asylum. Here's the rest of Stephen Miller's point, where I do think even someone like Midas Touch, who we disagree with on almost every single thing that they've ever posted or said, and we already disagree with everything that they're about to say for the next 10 years. But when they reposted this, they said that this was Orwellian. And I sort of agree with them on this, because we've got Stephen Miller saying that the Supreme Court decided 9-0 in Trump's favor. When we talked about this, we said that Trump was going to spin it as a decision in his favor, but it was kind of 50-50, or it was kind of a loss disguised as a win. It sort of looked like it could be portrayed either way. And now we've entered this world where we've got subjectivity on what the Supreme Court is actually ruling. Like, they can issue a ruling and one side says, yeah, it was 9-0. And one side says, yeah, that was 9-0 in our favor. Look at that. And the other side says, no, that was 9-0 against you. Like, we can't even decide what the Supreme Court we need the Supreme Court to rule on what they ruled, so we know what they actually said. But here's Stephen Miller making his point.
I promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away.
So you don't plan to ask for
Supreme
it
Court's
to get
asking
it back?
to.
Is that
What was the ruling
position?
in the Supreme Court, Steve? Was it 9-0?
Yes, it was a 9-0
In our favor.
in our favor against the district court ruling, saying that no district court has the power to compel the foreign policy function of the United States. As Pam said, the ruling solely stated that if this individual at El Salvador's sole discretion was sent back to our country, that we could deport him a second time.
Well,
No version of this legally ends up with him ever living here, because he is a citizen of El Salvador. That is the president of El Salvador. Your questions about it, per the court, can only be directed to him.
I asked.
All right, so there's his point on the 9-0 ruling for you real quick. Now, what I wanted to do, the ruling's actually really short. We do have a couple other things that we'll cover in this as well. The ruling's actually really short, and there's really 1 or 2 paragraphs here that matter. So they say, like, it's a 4-page ruling. That's pretty short. You know, the application is granted in part and denied in part. Granted in part and denied in part, subject to the direction of this order, due to the administrative stay issued by the Chief Justice. To the deadline imposed by the district court has now passed. That was the April 7th deadline that they had. And so this was issued on April 10th, I believe. So the deadline was passed. There is no way to enforce the district court's order that they returned this guy by April 7th. Because it was April 10th. April 7th is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. We will never have April 7th, 2025 again. Okay, so that part is wiped out. The deadline imposed by the district court is now passed. To that extent, the government's emergency application is effectively granted, in part because they had done this emergency application to extend that deadline. So it's effectively granted in part, and the deadline and the challenge order is no longer effective. The rest of the district court's order remains in effect, but requires clarification on remand. The order properly requires the government to facilitate Abrego Garcia's release from custody in El Salvador and to ensure that his case is handled as it would have been had he not been improperly sent to El Salvador. The intended scope of the term effectuate in the district court's order, by the way, had said that they needed to facilitate and effectuate. Okay. The Supreme Court says that they take issue with the word. They are requiring the government to facilitate. Okay. The intended scope of the term effectuate in the district court's order is, however, unclear and may exceed the district court's authority. The district court should clarify its directive with due regard for the deference owed to the executive branch in the conduct of foreign affairs. They say that they need to clarify what they meant by effectuate. So now it's back to the district court to clarify what that means. But they said facilitate, yes, which in my view means El Salvador, if they release him from the prison, that the United States has to allow him to come back in here and go back through the court system as if this had never happened in the way that he was, they're saying he was supposed to go through the court system in the first place. Okay. I did not like the fact that he said, yeah, it was 9-0 in our favor, clearly ruling that we have purview over this. I'm like, no, it's not exactly what I'm hearing here. The district court should clarify its directive with due regard for the deference owed to the executive branch in the conduct of foreign affairs. For its part, the government should be prepared to share what it can concerning the steps it has taken and the prospect of further steps. The order heretofore entered by the Chief Justice is vacated.
And that's where they're going on right there.
Yeah.
It's vacated.
To this day, the government has cited no basis in law for Abrego Garcia's warrantless arrest, his removal to El Salvador, or his confinement in a Salvadorian prison, nor could it. Nor could it. I think that that's a pretty important couple sentences there as well. Yes, there was a hearing, I believe, where it was brought up that this guy was MS-13 or whatever, and I've got let's see. No court has definitively ruled that Garcia was a member of MS-13. In 2019, an immigration judge denied him bond, citing a gang-field interview sheet from Prince George's County Police that alleged his MS-13 membership based on a confidential informant's claim and his wearing of a Chicago Bulls hat and hoodie. I would have been screwed in grade school, man. Let me tell you what.
Yeah.
The judge stated this evidence appears to be trustworthy and showed he was a verified member of MS-13, but this was not a formal ruling on gang membership, as bond hearings do not require the government to affirmatively prove such claims. The decision was upheld on appeal, but no trial or conviction established gang affiliation. I just think that this is really loose reasoning to determine that the guy's MS-13. Now, the guy might be MS-13. I'm not saying he isn't. I'm not. But what you're saying it's what he was wearing, that was the problem. And then you have a confidential informant. I wouldn't want that kind of evidence used against me. And it's kind of tough to prove gang affiliation, especially when this guy had never been convicted of any crimes. He seems to be an upstanding non-citizen.
The only crime is that he's here illegally.
Yeah. And so that's fine. You want to deport the guy, whatever. I take issue with deporting people directly to a prison based on the fact that he was wearing a Chicago Bulls hat.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess a confidential informant
also. He's married to a citizen. So what happened with that process? Why is he not a citizen? Considering he married one.
I'm not an
Shouldn't there be some
expert. I'm just a podcaster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was he a mail order husband?
I'm not sure. Yeah,
I know it doesn't guarantee you citizenship. I know marriage doesn't guarantee citizenship, but at least it gets you a green card so that you can speed up the process of becoming a citizen.
So what's bothering me right now about the Trump administration, whom I voted for, and so did Charlie, is that we seem to be getting all the bad stuff and none of the good stuff is actually real. That's what I'm seeing right now.
Except for Ross was freed.
Ross was freed.
That's a tangible.
Yeah, we got Ross.
That's a tangible win.
Someday we'll be rotting in the prison in El Salvador, and I'll be like, "Well, we got Ross.
We got Ross out.
That's good."
Yeah.
Oh, there's Ross in the prison. Okay, cool.
No, he's with us now.
Yeah.
Damn it.
We really do have Ross. Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that that's actually going to happen. Probably not. Anyway. The Doge stuff, I was mentioning this before we started today to the Fed Haters Club, joingmail.com. Doge stuff was pretty cool to think about. It made for
started off really cool.
It made for a fun time on X there for a little bit, but it seems like not a lot of real cuts are going to happen.
We exposed USAID.
Yeah,
And then they just like stopped there. Somehow it seems like the deep state has found a way to surround Trump, maybe with like guys like Marco Rubio or other people who are. And then we got the leaks from the Signal chat where like just disappointed in Tulsi Gabbard and folks that you thought were like anti-war, you know, that were just like the only person standing up for like, but it was only based on timing, was J.D. Vance. Like, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this because of timing.
It was based on the fact that they hadn't manipulated enough people into thinking it was a good idea yet. And so it would be bad politically.
I think like Tulsi Gabbard would have chimed in at least on that chat and been like, gosh, should we be attacking the Houthis? Like, is this smart? Isn't our administration built on the on anti-war and like getting countries out of war? So like, there's a lot of things that have happened that I think, and I think this is the way you're feeling too, is that the hope balloon is starting to...
It's deflating some.
Starting to
deflate.
It's losing its hot air.
It doesn't mean that I wish Kamala would have won.
No?
I still think that this is probably better than if we would have had Kamala. But there's, I mentioned beforehand, Trump has proposed the rescission package. Is it the $500 billion that Rand Paul had proposed? No, it's $9 billion, which we spend in about 12 hours. No, about 10 hours. Yeah, we spend that much money. It's sure, that's fine, but that's pointless. There's been Congress has floated the idea. It's getting floated in Congress while they're working on this bill of letting the tax on people making $1 million or more go back up to what it used to be before the Trump tax cuts, and keeping all the other ones down. Now, that's effectively, raising taxes on the rich. Now, I don't think they're going to do that, but there's been some signaling that we're open to that from Trump.
Signaling? Like there's more Signal chats?
No, not that kind of signal. No, they're using WhatsApp. No. That's and so that's not cool. I don't like that very much. And then when it comes to this stuff, like I'm glad that we've shut down most of the border crossings and stuff like that. I think that is important. But there are civil rights problems that we are running into right now that could really destroy this administration. And the biggest thing I'm worried about, aside from the civil rights of human beings, if we do care about that, is that we're going to end up getting someone like freaking AOC or something as our president afterwards, because so many people are going to be disgusted by this.
You know what I hear them saying though, and this has happened a couple of times, and that I don't know who that bald guy is. Who's the bald guy in the administration that was talking?
Stephen Miller.
Yeah,
he's got a band.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know what he was saying just now, and I've heard Trump say this, and I think J.D. Vance has said this before too. They talk about these things, and the one key thing he said there is that this is a 90-10 issue. Mm-hmm. I've heard him say this is 80-20 issue, or this is an 80% of America sides with us. They seem to be making decisions based on what, like the polling of America populace,
like populism.
Yes,
that kind of thing.
It's like, yeah, we don't care if you're grilling our biscuits about this because this is a 90-10 issue. We don't care.
It is until they deport some of the wrong people. And that's why they're going so hard on this guy being an MS-13 gang member and calling him a terrorist and stuff like that. There is very, very, very little evidence that he is a gang member or a terrorist. If he is just a normal illegal immigrant that came here and did not commit any crimes while he was here, has got no arrest record and all that, had not convicted of any crimes, those aren't the people that the American people are wanting shipped off to a terrorism confinement center in El Salvador. And that can be really damaging. And I've heard it floated a bunch of times why they don't want to bring him back. The reason that this is an idea I've heard floated several times, they don't want him to do interviews about how terrible that place is, like what kind of abuses go on there, because it's stuff not allowed in our prison systems that we have. But, at least these aren't American citizens. Except for the fact that, oddly enough, Trump seemed to float the idea of homegrown people, American citizens, also being sent to El Salvador. Now, probably what he means is homegrown gang members terrorists, stuff like that, American citizen, gang members, and terrorists being sent to El Salvador as well. Now, I saw this clip at first. I watched a Tim Pool cut where he was like, I don't think that's what, I think Trump was just, trading funny comments with Bukele right here. No, there's another clip where they ask him about it straight up, and he's like, yeah, well, yeah, maybe. Here's this one. This is a hot mic moment, and so the video is kind of weird on it, but this is a hot mic moment.
Demanded the people wanted to change everything, and they wanted. He demanded.
Yeah, you can hear.
They love what you do.
Exactly.
I want to feel supported. I want him to do, homegrown criminals next. Yeah. I said, homegrowns are next. The homegrowns built. You got to build about 5 more places.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right.
Homegrowns are next. You got to build about 5 more places. Okay, that's what he says in that. And I'd seen a clip where it was like, oh, Trump, he's always saying funny stuff, probably taking him out of context. Well, let's listen to the answer to this question right here.
You mentioned that you're open to deporting individuals that aren't foreign aliens but are criminals to El Salvador. Does that include potentially U.S. citizens, fully naturalized Americans?
If they're criminals and if they hit people with baseball bats over their head that happen to be 90 years old, and if they rape 87-year-old women in Coney Island, Brooklyn, yeah, that includes them. What do you think? There's a special category of person? They're as bad as anybody that comes in. We have bad ones too, and I'm all for it because we can do things with the president for less money and have great security. And we have a huge prison population. We have a huge number of prisons, and then we have the private prisons, and some are operated well, I guess, and some aren't. But he does a great job with that. We have others that we're negotiating with too. But no, if it's a homegrown criminal, I have no problem. Now, we're studying the laws right now. Pam is studying. If we can do that, that's good. And I'm talking about violent people. I'm talking about really bad people. Really bad people.
Yeah, it's always really bad people at first.
Yeah. It's not even... So that's a bad one. And then you always have to ask yourself, well, what happens when someone I don't trust has this power to send people to prison in El Salvador or whatever other? It doesn't have to be El Salvador.
Well, they're talking to other people.
Could pay other countries.
Looks like he's negotiating with others.
Sure. And so we could talk to other people. So you think, ask, like, what happens when AOC has that power, Kamala has that power, Gavin Newsom has that power? What are you going to do then? And
what would you do if Joe Biden just had that power? The dude couldn't even think straight.
Yeah, then it would have been left to whoever was actually making decisions.
Trump would have been sent to El Salvador.
Yeah.
It's like,
so you have to think past whatever's happening right.
And of course, he mentions
right
these
now.
like, oh yeah, if you hit a 90-year-old person over the head with a baseball bat, or
luckily he only gave two categories of people.
Rape an 82-year-old woman in Bronx.
If you hit a 90-year-old person with a baseball bat, or if you rape an 87-year-old woman at Coney Island, then you could be sent to El Salvador.
Yes.
So those are 2 categories of people. Anyone who fits those categories. It's very narrow.
But the question is, will they have due process?
So here's the thing.
Will they be convicted of this crime? Does government ever screw up in convicting people of crimes?
Well, here's the wild thing.
Is the Karen Reed trial not currently ongoing? The second one?
I don't know what that is.
In which clearly this woman's probably not guilty and they're trying to frame her for murder?
Never heard of her.
That's my take on it. It's a cultural thing.
Oh,
it's happening. You haven't heard the Karen Reed story?
Never heard that name.
Great documentary.
My whole life.
It's on Max.
Okay.
They go cover the first trial.
I gotcha.
There's a second one happening.
I gotcha.
Because they're still going after her.
I gotcha.
Pretty crazy.
Never heard of her. Here's what worries me. Now, they sent this guy to El Salvador when there was an order saying that they couldn't send him to El Salvador. And they said, well, yeah, that was a mistake. And now they're acting like there's just no way they can get him back from El Salvador. And in fact, the Supreme Court says you guys need to facilitate this. But they also say, well, the courts can't dictate your foreign policy decisions also. And so they can't force Trump to make a deal with El Salvador to bring him back, to force El Salvador to let this person loose. And so you're effectively setting up a system where if you do it fast enough, you could load up a plane of Americans and send them down there, and then no one can do anything afterwards except vote. That's about all you can do is vote afterwards. Yeah. But that's a super dangerous situation. And you got to ask yourself, not as if we
well,
made
this is
it,
where the state has to step in to stop the federal agents.
yeah, not cooperate with them.
Yes.
It's not like we're at that point right now, but you got to imagine like 20 years from now. Look how fast we went from like in the vaccine passports and vaccine mandates and stuff like that. How quick we made it into that, and lockdowns and mask mandates and
Neighbors
all that.
telling on
so
each other.
fast, so fast. You just have to make people a little scared.
Yeah.
They
So
just
are you
have to
saying-
fear something.
Are you saying Josh Eckel was right? This guy's an authoritarian dictator, and we're all going to end up in prison camps?
He's got some. Here's the deal with Trump. Does he have authoritarian tendency? Well, tell you what, is he an authoritarian? Well, yeah, I'm a libertarian. I think all these guys are authoritarians. The annoying part about the way people treated Trump was that he was uniquely authoritarian when compared to Biden or Bush or Obama or something like that. He wasn't. He just said it out loud. All these guys, I mean, Obama drone bombing American citizens or whatever it was they wanted to do, whatever the economic stuff is that they wanted to do. They're all authoritarians. Of course they are. You kind of have to be to take people's stolen money and spend it on stuff.
Yeah.
You got to be a little authoritarian when you're doing that kind of thing. So is he an authoritarian? But well, he's the president of the United States. So I think that's a pretty clear answer. But
by the way, I thought you keep saying libertarian, and it just keep reminding me of what Douglas Murray said. I did think that was really funny.
Which part?
He called libertarians bisexual because they're playing both sides. Oh, you libertarians, just bisexual. Got a good laugh out of Rogan too. I thought it was funny. He said it a few times, and Dave Smith was like, "I guarantee you, I'm straight. I'm a married straight man."
Oh, he put him on the defense. That's not good.
Yeah, it's just really funny.
The reason we have to talk about these things is not to try and destroy Trump or destroy the administration or make everyone hate him or whatever the reason may be. It's because you want the administration to be successful. And so they're pretty receptive to what the people are saying, especially if it's a lot of the people on their sides. And so if the people that are on their side or people who voted for them are too afraid to speak out and say negative things about the president or the things that they're doing, then they're never going to hear that feedback from those people. And if they just get that feedback from the people on the left, they're not going to pay attention to it because the left, they would call him Hitler if he sneezed or something like that, And so it's important for people who voted for him or who want him to do well to speak out when you disagree with things, because that's the only way you're ever going to get this guy to change his mind on something. And so we just got to do it.
Clearly, they go off of American polling, so we just have to shift the conversation, right? And we'll make the flip side a 90-10 issue.
We always have to be concerned. Like right now, people like the deportations, stuff like that. But if they start seeing people who aren't criminals, no criminal record, with kids, married, a job, the guy's a member of a union, stuff like that, which, that's enough to get deported in my mind.
This is all still a problem of the left going too far, and now the response is going too far. And all like Americans are upset that 20 million illegal immigrants were let into the country.
You're saying J.D. Vance's tweet right now. I don't know if you know that.
No, I don't.
No, he said Joe Biden let in 20 million people. What do you want us to do?
Right.
You want us to get rid of these people. You want to have 20 million court cases on this? Like, it's going to take decades just for these people to get out of here. And I'm extreme paraphrasing what he said, but that was the idea that he conveyed.
No, I didn't see the tweet.
But yeah, that's what he said.
That is what's happening. That's why this is a 90-10 issue, because you had 20, 30, 40 million. Who knows how many? We don't know, actually. It's 20 million plus people that were let in recently. And there have been a lot of crimes that have happened, a lot of families.
It's not just that. There are strains on the system. I don't want to paint them as criminals and stuff. It's strains on the system. You look at like our EMTALA laws that mean the emergency rooms have to take care of anyone who walks in. Illegal immigrants use emergency rooms as like their doctor's office. A lot of people do. A lot of poor people use it as their doctor's office. I was looking through hospital systems just in Florida, where I was showing that some of these hospital systems in Florida, it was costing them like $60 million a year just taking care of illegal immigrants, like in Florida, in the emergency rooms. in these hospitals. That's just one thing. Then you got school systems. You got whatever Medicaid and all whatever kind of benefits that people can actually get on.
Housing, phones, debit cards,
gift cards sent out to people, debit cards sent out to people, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, it's a strain on our terrible welfare state that we've created here, and it's making it even worse than it possibly could be. So I get that, but you got to be fearful of how this is going to be used against you in the future, and you can't be floating stupid ideas like sending American citizens, which it's not even legal, sending American citizens to these prisons overseas, because what happens? Innocent people get sent to prison. Okay. DNA evidence has been faked in crimes, and people have gone down for murder before.
DNA evidence has been planted.
But you know what happens? Eventually, you're able to appeal. Eventually, you're able to get new trials. Eventually, that's able to be brought to court, and you could maybe get released.
To introduce new evidence.
But that ain't going to happen if you're in a freaking terrorism confinement center in El Salvador.
Yep.
You're stuck there. You lose that appeal process, and you're assuming that whatever the government presents is perfectly honest and obviously factual, and they can never mess anything up. And that is a ridiculous idea for a libertarian to accept. I just can't do it.
That's not freedom.
No.
All right, y'all. Well, if you enjoyed today's episode, please share the show with a friend, a family member, or a foe. Leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Go to GodHatesFeds.com, pick up some merch, or go to join gmail.com, be part of the Fed Haters Club. Visit the links in the show notes to support the sponsors that support this show. And if you do all of that, Nate will be one just happy man.
I'll be a super happy for about an hour, and then it won't be enough
for half
anymore.
an hour.
Yeah.
And then leave us another rating and review.
Yeah.
That's how you keep Nate's happiness meter
constant
up.
Positive reviews.
Because every time he looks in the mirror, he just hates himself unless he sees that review
That's
at the
not
same
true.
time.
That's not true.
And all the other stuff that you all are doing. Nate's
when Lacey asked
been
me about
happy for an hour.
Lacey asked me about that viral video. She's like, "Are you happy now?" I was like, "Well, doesn't matter if I don't do it again next week." That was my answer.
It's my new addiction. Okay, I've been sober for 6-7 years.
Almost 7.
Almost 7 years.
7.
I had to replace it with something.
Yeah.
Do all the things for don't. I don't really care, but Nate does, like I told you. And if you do, we'll be back again tomorrow. Hope you have a good day and a good morning, Liberty.